The Madman! Witchwood review, number 11, go! Splintergraft. It's an 8-mana, 8/8 druid card, battle cry. Choose a friendly minion, add a 10/10 copy to your hand that costs 10. You want to do Splintergraft, ideally, on one of multiple targets. You can either do it on a cheap minion, because that cheap minion is recycled as a huge minion. You want to do it on a minion which perhaps has a persistent effect, which isn't that great when it is small, but is really good when it's big. Something that gets a massive discount. Now there are a number of problems with all of the above examples, so we'll go over them. First example of the Stone Tusk Boar. Instead of building board control, you're building a boar. In the case of Serenite Chain Gang, it requires one of the 2/3 stay on the board. That's pretty tough. And in the case of Arcane Tyrant or Mountain Giant, it requires the Arcane Tyrant or the Mountain Giant stay on the board. So all of those conditions are pretty hard, which makes Stone Tusk Boar seem to be the most likely thing, since you can actually play that along with the Splintergraft, and then on 10 you can play your 10/10 Boar, so yeah. Mage gets Toki Time Tinker, and we've got to listen to her voice clip because she sounds adorable. 6 mana 5/5, Battle Cry, add a random legendary minion from the past to your hand. A card from the past that this card compares to is Grand Crusader. Didn't see very much play, though admittedly it saw a tiny amount of play. I think that a random legendary minion is a little bit better than a random paladin card, because there were some bad paladin secrets, there still are some bad paladin secrets, there's some bad paladin cards. Legendaries, there's some bad legendaries. In fact, doing the math, you don't really need to know the exact details, but roughly 20% of the cards are excellent, 40% of the cards are okay, 40% of the cards are bad below average. Thinking optimistically, like over half the time, you're getting a card that's decent. Now the problem is that good enough? Because if I'm saying it's a decent card, that's less good than draw a card, because drawing a card from your deck is generally, oh okay, you're always drawing a good card. Card compares to both Syndragosa for if you're playing for a really late game value deck, but it also compares with Elise. And Elise is a card that does see some play in these control mage decks, because you are playing a grinder mage sometimes. You are trying to go into a very, very late game and outvalue them eventually. Elise will give you eventually over the course of the game 5 cards and is a 5 mana 5/5. Seems like since Elise isn't even played in every single type of this deck, that there's probably not enough room for both Elise and Toki. I know which waifu I'm choosing. Next up, Paladin gets a Blast from the Past, Bellringer Sentry, 4 mana 3/4, Battle Cry, and Death Rattle. Put a secret from your deck into the battlefield. Who am I? My name is Bellringer Sentry, and I'm here to shake up your meta, I think. Some people criticize that they're, with Getaway Kodo rotating out, there are only the 4 Paladin secrets right now. We don't know if there's another one coming out, there might be, and this card will change quite a bit depending on how good that secret is. But I'm going to make the case that even without another secret, this card is still pretty good. If you just get a Get Down, Noble Sacrifice, out, then you're getting a 4 mana 3/4 Battle Cry, put a 2/1 with Taunt into play, which means this is basically a 4 mana 5/5 stat value, some of which has Taunt. But not only that, that's the Battle Cry part of it. The Death Rattle part, once they kill it, you get another small benefit, like maybe another Noble Sacrifice. Or maybe your Battle Cry got your Redemption out, and then they kill your Bellringer Sentry, it dies, puts another secret out, and then you get the Bellringer Sentry again, which is ready to put out another secret. So I slept on Mysterious Challenger and may have called him a 1-star card, but don't worry, we're hiding that footage away, it'll never be seen anywhere. Mysterious Challenger, my, what an effect. But the problem is the Paladin secrets are only 1 mana, so it's not even that much value to pull them out, and all of them are still bad, fundamentally. Unfortunately, even though it's very competitively costed, it is a Paladin card, and the Paladin secrets, meh. So therefore, probably not going to work. So we're not going to sleep on this one, because fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, I can't be fooled again. You'd want to run the full complement of Noble Sacrifices and Redemptions, and then you probably want to run 1 Repentance. So really depends on how good the Paladin secret is, if a Paladin secret is getting revealed this expansion. But I'd like to argue that even without, this card could just fit into Call to Arms, decks as a good tempo play. Maybe it goes into that tempo paladin, maybe it slides into more of a mid-range paladin style. You're gonna see some Spike Ridge Steeds, you're gonna see some Tyrians. Some people would say, oh, this card can get silenced, but then your Spike Ridge Steeds and your Tyrians are getting silenced, so that's nice. One of the downsides about this is Rallying Blade is rotating out, which means that the weapon of choice for decks is going to return back to the True Silver Champion, which is a card on 4. So it's going to be competing with Call to Arms and True Silver Champion. Oh, and not only that, we also have Last Night is a card that looks pretty unexciting. 4 mana, 4/3 Divine Shield. Whenever you restore health, gain Divine Shield. It's important to just recognize that 4 mana, 4/3 Divine Shield is pretty good. And Silver Moon Guardian sees no play whatsoever, but it's worth mentioning that there was a card that did see play, Cthulhu's Chosen, which is just a 4 mana, 4/2. And yes, it did buff your Cthulhu by 2, but that's kind of a minor benefit. The card itself was strong enough to be deemed playable, is the important part. And any card that actually saw play and then has one stat added to it, like that must be pretty good. You have True Silver Champion being played as the weapon of choice now, which heals you with like not really compromising your deck at all. Last Night could very realistically get 2 charges of Divine Shield or even 3. What a monster! Which deck? Well, I mean, it could just be good in the classic Call to Arms deck. Yes, you have to put in True Silver Champion, but hey, you're adding True Silver Champion in. That's a good way of restoring health. Why not have the Glass Knight also? And finally, last and least of the Paladin cards is Silver Sword. Boy, does that cost a lot. 8 mana, 3/4 weapon. After your hero attacks, give your minions +1/+1. I was comparing this card with Vine Cleaver, and I thought that Vine Cleaver proved superior, both because I think that a 4/3 weapon is better than a 3/4 weapon, also because Vine Cleaver costs 1 mana less, and also because I think the Vine Cleaver effect is better than the Silver Sword effect. Silver Sword requires you to have a board in order to get the buff benefits, so you get ahead and you stay ahead. Vine Cleaver gives you 2/1/1s even if you're behind, so better catch-up mechanism. So 8 mana, no. Not even sure I would play it at 7. Next up, we've got the Rogue Echo card. Pickpocket. 2 mana, Echo. Add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class. It's bad hallucination when it's at 2, because not only is it completely random, you don't get to discover, it costs 1 more. Also, Swashbuckler came with the 1/1, but usually with the patches also. So, really bad at 2 mana, really bad at 4 mana because Burgle didn't see a play and it costs 3 mana. Really bad at 6 mana because Devour Mind didn't see very much play for Priest, and it added cards from your opponent's deck as opposed to from your opponent's class. Adding from deck tends to be better than class. Worse than Sprint on 7 because drawing cards that are random for your opponent's classes tends to be way worse than drawing cards from your deck. And then at 10, why aren't you playing Druid if you want to cast this 10 mana, draw 5? Might as well also gain 5 armor and get a 5/5 and deal 5. Before getting to the entire concept of, okay, so this card sucks, we have to reevaluate how good Echo is, because there's constantly this debate of it's flexible, you underestimate cards that have flexibility, and to be fair, I did sleep on Branching Paths, so I revisited why Branching Paths is good. Branching Paths is good because you can have very different effects for it. Against control, you can draw cards. Against aggro, you gain your armor. Sometimes you have lethal by +1 attack. Sometimes you get really good trades. Does very different effects. Pickpocket always adds cards. A lot of the Echo cards always repeat the same thing over and over again. Actually, they all do. So better to compare them with the Forbidden cards. Forbidden Flame saw play in Kazakus Mage. Only because you had to put 1 copy of everything. It's like Forbidden Flame wasn't that good, but I gotta put a copy of a card in the deck, might as well be Forbidden Flame. Forbidden Ritual doesn't see play. You have the Forbidden Ancient from Druid, can be cast anywhere from 1 to 10, no good. Forbidden Healing, that one saw a little bit of play, mostly because the meta had a lot of burst in sometimes. But nowadays, no good. Finally, last but not least, we had Forbidden Shaping from Priest. Gets way outclassed by Free from Amber, no good. So after reviewing all of those Forbidden cards, I felt a lot better about calling Echo cards that are bad at every mana cost as no good. Even though there is some value to it, no, I don't think so. Now to be fair, there is the synergy card right here, Mistwraith. 4 mana, 3/5. Whenever you play an Echo card, gain +1/+1. This is a type of very minor synergy card that I don't see making the Echo cards like good enough to see play. So this one is also no good. It's a 4-mana 3/5. This card also probably bad at the cheap shot, which I also consider no good. Next up, hey, we just saw this card. It's my card. It's so good. I liken it to Ultimate Infestation, except the other side of it. Pretty much as big effect on a small card as you could be. 1 mana 1/2, Warrior, Town Crier, Battle Cry, draw a Rush main from your deck. A lot of people have said, like, obvious choice for Rush Warrior, but what exactly does a Rush Warrior mean? Do you just put in all the Rush cards? No, I say. No, you choose the very specific Rush cards, and here's the package. I'll outline it for you, subject to change when a better Rush card, if a better Rush card comes out. But I'm thinking that a Rush package looks something like 2 Town Crier, 2 Woodcutter's Axe, Precious Fiery War Axe is now back and better than ever. Darius Crowley, I say. Really good to grab him with the Town Crier, really good to buff it with a Woodcutter's Axe. There's a good stat baseline. Militia Commander, very efficient, 4 mana 5/5 charger on minions when it comes out. Possibly better than the Militia Commander, subject to some controversy still. Swift Messenger, that's higher stats, right? Seems like the consensus is against Swift Messenger at the moment, and more people think Muck Hunter has the higher possibility of being good. It seems like the Rush package is there. Seems like it's going to be very similar to the Shaman Jade package, which made Shaman pretty powerful for quite a while. 5-card package. In a similar way, you probably don't want your Warrior Rush package to get too big. So I'm thinking just somewhere between 5 to 7 Rush minions. Hopefully there are 20 other good enough Warrior cards that go with the package. Voodoo Doll, very creepy 3 mana 1/1 neutral. Battle Cry, choose a minion, death rattle, destroy the chosen minion. Removal for all classes. At the worst case, it's a bad corruption for every class since you play it, kaboom. But in the best case, it's immediate removal. If you have a Blood Razor out already, then it's just 3 mana and kill something. If you are Frostlich Jaina, you can kill your Voodoo Doll, kill something, and get a 3/6 Water Elemental. And of course, you know, it's not just Frostlich Jaina. At the worst case, it's always an Assassinate sitting around. Very good for Odd Mage. And then finally, Warlock. You know, Control Warlock isn't in a great spot right now, so let's give it something that combos with Devile and Mortal Coil and Dark Pact. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. The only question now is, oh no, I have too many good cards to put in my Control Warlock deck. Can I fit in Voodoo Doll? And finally, last and least, we have Worgen Abomination. This thing is such an abomination in a 7 mana 6/6. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to all other damaged minions. Reminds me a lot of Baron Geddon. Combos with Baron Geddon if Baron Geddon is played first, I think. If you want to be optimistic and you consider it to be about Sleep with the Fishes, then it's a mix of a 5 mana 6/6 plus a 2 mana Sleep with the Fishes. Reasonable, I suppose. Except Sleep with the Fishes cost 2, and that was the selling point on it. Combos of Despicable Dreadlord, that's true too. So for the low price of 12 or 14 mana, you've got your constant 3 or 4 damage. But no. Also announced that Witchwood is going to be released April 12th. Probably about 1 or 2 of these mini card reviews to be done, and then one more pretty big card review when the big list gets dumped, and then finally the Trump reviews where I give the official star rating on all of them. Gonna be tough with the card rotation, but we're gonna give it a good try.